Today, International Banker is joined by Peter Harmston, Head of Payments Consulting, KPMG UK, to discuss the UK's payment ecosystem, AI, and the rise of digital assets. Peter, really good to have your time today.
Great to be here.
Now, considering metrics such as user experience, speed, security, and cost, how advanced is the United Kingdom's payment ecosystem compared with other leading countries?
Thanks, Sam. Before I give you the exact answer you're looking for, and are we or aren't we, I need just 10 seconds on where we are right now and why I think to kind of justify my end answer. I think first you think about today and how payments are used in the UK. We have full ubiquity of cards. You can walk in anywhere, use either contactless or your wallets to be able to do that. We have a pretty robust faster payment system for me to be able to pay you. We have a batch system that works really well. We have a high value system that's just been upgraded through RTGS, through CHAPS. Cash still works in many places as well. So from what we have right now, we are there. If I then think about, okay, what do people demand and are we missing something? I think the first part is, I don't think consumers, you and I are jumping up and down right now going, oh, I really need a new way to pay. I think from a merchant's perspective and retailers, there's a potential going, maybe we need more choice to drive competition and resiliency in the overall and redundancy in the overall system. And thirdly, I think policymakers are sitting there going, given this ubiquity we have on cards, do we again need to drive choice and have alternative ways to pay at the point of sale? So I think having what we have right now plus what we need, I have us on par. I think we're perfectly on par with especially with developed countries. I think we were ahead in many ways. We were the first to go live with faster payments. We are huge users of contactless and wallets. So I think we're on par right now, but we need to keep that momentum up to make sure we continue to innovate, to make sure we're keeping up, especially with our international peers.
And focusing on that kind of innovation, which single metric do you think the UK's payment system should improve most urgently? What's the one that's lagging behind that could pull us back?
Yeah, if I was to wind forward a couple of years and I say, again, what metric would improve, it would be that level of choice. What is, if we've got 2-3 things we can do now, but if they don't work for some reason, or we have something that's outside our control, how do we have an alternative to be able to pay so that journey can continue, would be I'm not sure whether it's a metric or not, but that ability to have more choice would be something I want to see.
And are there any specific areas of the industry which you would rate the UK as a global leader right now?
Right now, we are global leaders in digital wallets. So we have full ubiquity in digital wallets. We have one of the highest uptakes in the world on contactless payments. So I think that convenience and that seamless process, we are absolutely world leaders in.
Now, thinking of choice, in what key ways do you see artificial intelligence, especially agentic AI, impacting the payment sector over the next few years? And in particular, how do you expect this technology to improve that experience you're talking about in the payment space?
That interview will be completely about talking about AI. And there's a few bits here with payments and AI. AI was really used as to support the payments regime. Now it's kind of fundamentally a part of the end-to-end payments journey. And kind of KPMG we've got this kind of key opinion that it ends up being a kind of orchestration layer where everything is based around. But AI and payments are going to go hand in hand. It will, going to your fundamental question, it will improve it. And there's a few key ways which I think it's going to go. The first part is what I refer to as hyper-personalization. So you want to make a payment, you want to buy something. And the point is there, AI will support you in going, which is the best method of payment, which is the cheapest method of payment, where if I'm doing a cross-border, can I get the best rate? Is it the right instrument? Do I go down a buy now, pay later? Do I use a credit product? Do I use a traditional payments product? So AI will take those choices or help us make those choices, opposed to us as consumers or businesses having to think about it. So that kind of aid to be a fundamental help you through that end-to-end process. The second part, I think, with payments and AI is kind of it's kind of the end-to-end and some of the back office processes. Mm-hmm. So the happy path, we all have the happy path in payments. It works lovely. What happens when I've got a dispute, or a chargeback. I'm not getting my goods. I've got a question for when I can't authenticate myself because of the two-factor authentication or the multi-factor authentication. So how can AI help us navigate that? Opposed to me going, oh, I'm just not going to complete the payment, or I've got to call a call center or something. AI can help us navigate through that to get the right level of outcome, which would mean hopefully me as a customer will complete my payment and buy the goods. The merchant gets their goods, and also the bank or the scheme doesn't get a phone call either complaining or getting help. So there's multiple ways there it can help as well. And the final piece which you mentioned there is kind of agentic. So what is, for those who don't know, agentic and agentic payments, agentic IA is kind of you basically delegating your purchasing and your choices to an agent. So I go to bed and I go, I really want a laptop. I program my agent to go, I like an app laptop with these configurations at this price point delivered on this time. It will then make the choices for me, and tomorrow a laptop will turn up. So the use case is really there, and it will improve customer service. But what we're getting here is a bit of caution with that, because the worst case scenario is I wake up and I've ordered 4 laptops, all of the wrong specs, and they've all turned up. So we go, okay, that's great, but whose fault is that? Who takes the liability? Who do I ring when things go wrong? So agentic commerce and the use of payments in there, which is the final leg of that transaction, is really good. But I think the banks, the retailers are cautious on how it is adopted.
Now, that kind of leads into the next question, which is changing customer behaviour is a major driver of how the payment landscape is evolving. What single change in customer behaviour is the most significant today?
I think with payments and customer behaviour, what we're seeing most, and we will continue to see from this year onwards, is payments continue to be a background payment. No one wakes up in the morning, someone goes, I'll tell you what I really want to do today. I want to make a payment. I want a ticket, I want a good, I want a subscription or something. So before it was in decades gone by, a very friction process. And the friction is continually taken out of payments. So and we call it kind of the Uberization of payment. You walk out of the taxi and you paid. And the customer's expectation from those kind of ride sharing experiences, it is as seamless as possible. And it does not stop me continuing down the path I want to do with purchasing that good. So customers want it to disappear as much as possible. But I think on the flip side of that, what we're seeing from customer behavior, and this is from fraud and having control of finances, is yes, it is totally frictionless, but I still need to be in control. So I need to set the parameters. I need to be able to, if something goes wrong, be able to figure out what's going wrong and call somebody, etc. Because ultimately it's still my money and my movement of value. So frictionless, but there's a continuing going, it's frictionless, but I still need to have control. And this is why there's a number of apps, kind of budget management, understanding my payment flows, etc. So everything runs nicely, but customers still want to have that level of control.
And looking forward, what do you think will evolve over the next few years? If I ask you to look in a crystal ball, if possible.
I think from a crystal ball, I think, linking to one of your questions earlier, I think customers are going to continue to have more choice in the way they pay. I kind of call this a multi-money future. So we have traditional rails, we have future rails of various digital assets, etc. So customers want everything. Okay, we want frictionless. We want the potential to use these new instruments as well. But I want control and I want to use AI. So there's this kind of perfect storm to go. How do we continue to educate and protect customers and corporates in this kind of new multi-money environment as it's changing so quickly? And I think all the regulators need to keep track with that as well at the same time.
Now, you recently discussed the importance of the Financial Conduct Authority's rule change, which took effect on March the 19th, and it allows banks and payment service providers with strong fraud controls to set their contactless payment limits above the current level of £100. What are the main benefits of this move?
I'm kind of seeing this, and so KPMG commented back in March when this went live. It's really overall, it's a customer service and it's a customer experience uplift. The friction we have now when we go and tap a card, not our phone, as that's got different authentication methods, is it's above £100 and it used to potentially put in your PIN. The total removal of that doesn't mean that the banks overnight are putting unlimited limits on it and you can go and buy a car while tapping your card. No, the point here, the benefit is it gives the banks and ultimately the consumer's flexibility. So what we've seen so far is very limited change in the current £100 limit. The regulator's been quite clear, as you say there, saying we no longer, you can do what you want, but there's not been a sudden surge of banks and customers going, I must have an unlimited or a change in my limit. What we will see, which is helping the customer service and customer experience perspective, is the ability to give customers the choice. Going, Peter, Simon, I'm going to set my limit at £300. I'm going to go and do a big purchase today, so I will immediately raise my limit today for a period of time, then put it down and down again. Or the ability for vulnerable customers to have no limit at all, so etc. So there's ways that will really kind of transpire to give a better experience to the customers.
And do you expect a rise in fraud or security threats to materialise as a result of this change?
I don't. I think there's going to be such a level of caution. There was a lot of rhetoric and discussion before they raised its limits. And this is one of the reasons it hasn't been dramatically raised overnight, is it's very clear from the FCA PSR that you can have this as a control that you can adjust, but you must maintain the right levels of security and control so we do not see an uptick in fraud. So that's why it's going to be done in caution. We still expect, with what we talked about earlier in AI, the fraud controls are getting better and better and better, and AI is playing a part in that. But it's going to be done in caution. Therefore, I suspect we will not see a spike in fraud and financial crime off the back of it.
Now, you just mentioned AI again. Inevitably, in this kind of conversation, we're going to talk about digital assets. How will the rise of digital assets, especially stablecoins, affect the UK and global payment landscape over the coming years, particularly in terms of speed of payment, we just mentioned as well, efficiency and security?
I think if we talk about, and this goes to my point earlier around, we are moving to a multi-money environment. I mean, in the UK right now, we are not big users of digital assets, digital currency, be that stable coins, which are kind of not backed by, at the moment, by regulation or by central bank or commercial bank money, or tokenized deposits or central bank digital currencies. But things will change, I think, over time. And the benefits we talk about kind of the stable coin and the tokenized deposit part of the world. We think that retail use cases, me paying you £10, it's okay, and it's got a benefit, but there are plenty of ways of doing that now, and I'm pretty satisfied with that experience. Where those digital assets can really help is on the wholesale environment, cross-border, to help with speed, liquidity, traceability, programmability. So some really good use cases in the wholesale side and cross-border, where I've got certainty of fate, I understand where it's going, I've got full transparency of that movement of money. It's on chain, so everybody can see it. So I think especially in corporate, commercial and wholesale banking, we will see a continued move towards the use of stablecoins and the use of tokenized deposits. I think fundamentally in the UK's already got a trial on tokenized deposits at the moment. That's got the same regulations and oversight that standard commercial bank money has. So it's not a huge leap for consumers, corporates, etc., to start using it and get the benefits of that programmability, etc. And then on the security side, and we'll talk about security and we'll talk about risk a little bit as well. The security side, the fact is, I've got full transparency. Everybody can see that on the chain, etc. It does give it a level of certainty. And I often get asked about how about the extra risks? I think the risks are different. We've got a help with things like liquidity and settlement risk, but I think we have different operational risks. How we deal with encryption, how we deal with keys, how we deal with all the new technology. So I don't think there's new risk or less operational risk. I think there's a real shift in risk from one risk to another. And I think that's why this country especially is being quite cautious in the way we regulate for them and the way they're used as well.
And do you anticipate greater competition between banks and PSPs versus digital asset and cryptocurrency firms, or conversely, more partnerships perhaps between the two camps?
I think in chatting to and talking through my clients, because all the big wholesale, corporate and retail banks now are very much thinking about this. They have strategy in place, they have teams in place, because it's again, where can I benefit my customers from doing this? And the overarching views will be a bit of both, but what I'm seeing more is partnerships. Historically, I won't be speaking out, and a lot of banks have quite, some historic technology stacks. There's ways that they might not be able to innovate as quickly as they would always want to. So some ways of kind of short-circuiting that and being quicker to market is partnering. So I think the partner ecosystem around digital assets is going to continue to grow more than a kind of loggerhead, let's build, and let's go at this together, because the market is still working itself out. So I think the only way to be successful in giving the best products to the end corporates and the end customers is to kind of partner for success.
And partner perhaps with people who are quite agile but not very big.
Yes.
Would be one example.
No, spot on.
Brilliant.
Spot on.
Okay. Well, listen, thank you very much for your time today. It's been really interesting, your insights and your expertise. Peter, thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you.